Hare Krishna everyone. Now this video, it's a little bit new and a little bit different. I'm just going to be doing a reading from one of the yoga and meditation wisdom texts from ancient India, which I've been talking about, which is called Srimad Bhagavatam. I'm going to be reading one of my favorite verses and explanations. And then I might be just sort of giving a little bit of a discussion on it. So yeah, for those of you who would like to hear a bit of reading, which is also meditation, just like the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra chanting. And for those of you who don't know what that is a three-named mantra comprised into a 16-worded sentence, which goes Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And maybe we can say it together. So it goes Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And maybe one more time, the last third time. I meant to say sorry. So it goes Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. So the names are Hare, Krishna and Rama, 3 names, 16 words / names, or both their names altogether. They are names, sorry, I meant to say altogether. They are names altogether. Sorry, I meant to say. So this reading is of the same nature of that mantra, which is it purifies the real self, the soul beyond the body and mind, beyond these vehicles which are not us, but we are just within. And we can leave those vehicles at any moment, so why not take shelter of things that can actually connect us to who we really are, beyond the makeup and the lipstick and the plastic and the Game Boys and the video games and the movies and the TV and the restaurants and all this crap, basically. It's crap because it doesn't satisfy the real self. So I'm sorry if I offended anyone there, but that's my definition anyway of crap, you know. If it doesn't satisfy the real self, then it's just secondary, you know. So some food for thought. So this verse, I will just begin here. Sorry, bear with me. So it goes, I'll be reading here. So we'll start now. It goes, do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us do the beasts not eat and discharge semen? So that's a pretty provocative verse. And the explanation to this verse goes, we'll start here. So we'll begin. The materialistic man of the modern age will argue that life, or part of it, is never meant for discussion of theosophical or theological arguments. Life is meant for the maximum duration of existence, for eating, drinking, sexual intercourse, making merry and enjoying life. The modern man wants to live forever by the advancement of material science, and there are many foolish theories for prolonging life to the maximum duration. But the Srimad Bhagavatam affirms that life is not meant for so-called economic development or advancement of materialistic science, for the hedonistic philosophy of eating, mating, drinking, and merrymaking. Life is solely meant for tapasya, for purifying existence, so that one may enter into eternal life just after the end of the human form of life. The materialists want to prolong life as much as possible because they have no information of the next life. They want to get the maximum comforts in this present life because they think conclusively that there is no life after death. This ignorance about the eternity of the living being and the change of covering in the material world has played havoc in the structure of modern human society. Consequently, there are many problems multiplied by various plans of modernized man. The plans for solving the problems of society have only aggravated the troubles. Even if it is possible to prolong life more than 100 years, advancement of human civilization does not necessarily follow. The Bhagavatam says that certain trees live for hundreds and thousands of years. At Vrindavana, there is a tamarind tree. The place is known as Imlitala. Sorry, my bad pronunciation probably. Imlitala. which is said to have existed since the time of Lord Krishna. There is a banyan tree said to be older than 500 years, and there are many such trees all over the world. Swami Shankaracharya lived only 32 years, and Lord Chaitanya lived 48 years. Does it mean that the prolonged lives of the above-mentioned trees are more important than Shankara or Chaitanya? I meant to say. Prolonged life without spiritual value is not very important. One may doubt that trees have life because they do not breathe. But modern scientists like Bose have already proved that there is life in plants. So breathing is no sign of actual life. The Bhagavatam says that the bellows of the blacksmith breathes very soundly, but that does not mean that the bellows has life. The materialist will argue that life in the tree and life in the man cannot be compared because the tree cannot enjoy life by eating palatable dishes or by enjoying sexual intercourse. In reply to this, the Bhagavatam asks whether other animals like the dogs and hogs living in the same village with human beings do not eat and enjoy sexual life. The specific utterance of Srimad Bhagavatam in regard to other animals means that persons who are simply engaged in planning a better type of animal life consisting of eating, breathing, and mating are also animals in the shape of human beings. A society of such polished animals cannot benefit suffering humanity, for an animal can easily harm another animal, but rarely do good. Thank you so much for listening. So this is one of my favorite verses. It's so provocative, right? Maybe you're in agreement with me there, or maybe not. But yeah, so when I first read this, it was like just a shock to my system, and also a confirmation as well, like that, just we breathe in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, and that's such a waste of the divine energy, whereas it can be utilized to, this energy that we have, that we've been given, can be utilized to elevate ourselves, which is what we're meant for as human beings. There is a distinction between animals and human beings, in that human beings have the expansive consciousness whereby they can sit down and have discussions on transcendental matters, whereas animals cannot. Animals can benefit because anything with a soul benefits from anything transcendental, because that's also spirit and spirit, basically soul, spirit, soul, soul. So anything on the soul level, it benefits one another, and it becomes this beautiful symbiotic relationship that does nothing but increase in benefit and increase in pleasure, day by day, moment by moment, moment to moment. And it's amazing just how, just walking along the street, people are just breathing in and out, in and out, in and out, and it's like and I did that for so many years, just breathing, thinking so many mundane thoughts, positive thoughts, negative thoughts, but it never did me any good. I still felt completely disconnected. So it's like we do all these things, we do all this breathing, all this chattering about mundane things, but at the end of the day, when all the lights are off and the TV is off and the radio is off and the curtains are shut, how disconnected we feel. If we're really honest with ourselves and really real and really still with ourselves. But we may try and distract us from that fact, from that fact, that we are feeling so completely disconnected when everything is said and done at the end of the day, which is why then, generally speaking, for a lot of people, we need more distraction until we're just totally unconscious. We need that constant whatever it is until we're just totally out, and then the next day is busy, 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 out, busy, 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 out, so much time breathing in and out, in and out. That's just wasting the human form of life. And the way in which we can revive life within us, which means that reviving life within us means becoming conscious of who we really are, which is so beyond body and mind, is by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, which is described as the panacea, the medicine that we need to purify ourselves, and not just ourselves. So it's not like, oh, this is a totally selfish little activity. When you chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, you're purifying outside of yourself as well. I heard in a talk by this great saint and soul, His Holiness David Rita Swami, that just say you're outside and you're chanting, and you're walking along the street, just to yourself, or however you do it, or choose to do it, that area in which you chanted, if people walk through or pass that area later in the day, they get benefit. So that's the power of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And I've said this other story, I meant to say again, or before, I meant to say. So I've said this story before. I meant to say, but I'll say it again, is that there was one account or recount, I meant to say, of a group of people chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra late at night, I think. This is just from memory. I could have some of the details wrong, but there happened to be a psychic in that area, and the psychic later told and recounted, I meant to say, to, I think, one of the chanters of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that when they saw that group just on the street or wherever they were, the details I'm not so good with from memory, unfortunately. Sorry, everyone. When they saw that group of chanters of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, they saw this white light around the whole group that they couldn't see around anyone else at that time and at that location. So that is the power of this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. You're benefiting yourself immensely. And this verse, is quite like in your face, quite a stark, hard-hitting reality to be faced with. That the idea that, if we're doing exactly what the animals are doing, then we're no better than animals, basically. And this is not something to be judgmental about, like on oneself, but just recognize, another way of looking at it is recognizing these things that I'm currently doing, are they fully satisfying me? And if not, what am I going to do about it? So this process of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it's completely and 100% proactive process. And the more you chant, the more proactive you become, without any endeavor. It becomes infectious and contagious and attractive and addictive as well. You just want to chant more, do more and more and more chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And unlike everything else on the material level, if you think about medicines, materially speaking, pills, all of these things, even herbal tinctures, whatever they are, apples, fruits, vegetables, there's only so much we can take of those things on a moment-to-moment basis. Otherwise, some of these things that are described as healthy, you can actually poison yourself. So with the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, that never happens. That is not the case here. You can just keep chanting and chanting and chanting, and you're doing nothing but benefiting more and more. There's no decline, no disease, none of that. That always happens on the material level. And there's just this verse. It was just such a vivid picture when it spoke about the bellows of the blacksmith. Sorry, I meant to say again, the bellows of the blacksmith, just breathing in and out, in and out. But we know that it doesn't live, it's not living, so it's a good meditation to concentrate on and to think about and reflect on, and for those of us who are already chanting or have a daily practice, or however we're doing it, so let's say, or however we're doing it, we can consider and think, how deeply am I actually going into this Hare Krishna mantra? How seriously am I taking it right now? How much of my heart am I giving it, or am I giving more heart to my breathing? Which is only going to do me temporary good. We still breathe, so we don't, again, this is not about discouraging the breathing or the eating or the sleeping. Otherwise, we'll probably end up in hospital, So we still keep these things, but we add the most important thing right into the center of our life. And then all of those other things, the eating, the sleeping, they transform and change. The working, all of these things. Our relationships change. And it no longer becomes just about the breathing, And I was even hearing in a lecture a long time ago about how we can even breathe in the Hare Krishna mantra and breathe out the Hare Krishna mantra. So that could be another option, instead of just breathing, just nothing, that just doesn't give real life. So, whether this verse talks about animal, not animal, bellow, or tree, or whatever, which can feel like judgments or, in your face, expressive, dramatic, this is simply about a distinction between real and genuine life and living and just false shadow life, basically. And it's all about just adding more genuinity into the life that we already have, and then it just becomes more and more genuine and loving and caring. And so I hope I haven't scared anyone off with this I find this verse to be very provocative and in your face and extreme. But that's why I love it, because it makes you think. If it was all like soft and rosy and, be like, oh, that's nice, and then I just go about my life merrily, but we need that sometimes, if not all the time, just to bring us right back. Oh, that is the main thing. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is the main thing, and everything comes from that. And there's a famous saying by, again, this great saint and soul, His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaja, where he says everything comes from the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. So we can make this our life and soul, if we want to. For some of us, who know already the value of this Hare Krishna mantra, it's like, no, I need to, because I know everything comes from that. So this is a chance to bring real life into the body by becoming connected and conscious with our real self, which is soul beyond the body and mind. And through this process of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, which goes, I'll say it one more time before we head off to bed. So it goes, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,